Today is January 20th, 2026. It is 5 p.m. We are in the Bosch-Freilich meeting room at Mandan City Hall. Mr. Neubauer, would you like to take the roll?
Commissioners Rohr.
Here.
Schoberg.
Here.
Heinchan. Braun.
Here.
Mayor Freilich.
Here. And at this time, I ask Brenda Nagel, the director of the Bismarck-Mandan Chamber of Commerce, EDC, to lead us in the pledge. National anthem, if you'd like.
I'm not going to sing. I pledge.
You can sing. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, we'll move into announcements. Kimberly.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I am thrilled to announce that Abby Varner has joined our assessing team as the new real property appraiser technician. She's been with us for about a month, keeping her very busy with all of the forms that we get in this time of year. Abby brings with her 20 years plus experience in customer service, most recently in the banking industry, where she worked with primarily commercial customers. She's excited to support the property appraisers and work with the members of the community more directly in her new position. Outside of work, she enjoys tending to her growing hobby farm and hopes to start a garden this spring. She's excited to meet everyone and be part of the team here at the City of Mandan.
Welcome. Now we will move on to the Golden Shovel Award nominations. The Golden Shovel.
Mayor Freilich and Commissioners, thank you for that. I wasn't expecting that, but just so that you know, Golden Shovel Award is meant to bring attention to folks that are making good use of their shovels at home or their commercial businesses and shoveling the sidewalks. As we know, we have a little bit of snow today and some upcoming snow, so we appreciate when people are taking care of their walks, and you can nominate a resident or a business that you think is doing a great job. I know in the last couple of years the individuals have come in. We do have a beautiful gold-plated or painted, I think it's probably painted. Shovel that we award every year for you to display if you are the recipient of the Golden Shovel Award. So again, please go online to thecityofmandan.com and you can nominate your favorite business or residents for that Golden Shovel Award.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
You're
Would
welcome.
you like to stay and do the State of the Cities?
I can do that.
You will.
February 3rd, I believe, is the State of the Cities breakfast. We encourage you to, if you want to sign up and attend. You will hear comments from Mayor Freilich and Mayor Schmitz from the City of Bismarck. There will not be a formal presentation by each of the mayors. It'll be more of a fireside chat format, which is a result of the survey results that the Chamber does every year and asks the attendees what they like and how they would like to see the format change. So again, that is February 3rd at 7:30 in the morning. Did I get that right, Brenda? At the Bismarck Event Center.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to project updates. Jarek.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The only two real active projects right now are Mandan proper and then the 2B project area near Roosevelt Elementary. Mandan proper, last week we had our kind of kickoff open house for all 4 phases of Mandan proper. While it wasn't super highly attended, there was a lot of good conversation and a lot of good feedback that will help us make design decisions before design is even started. So appreciate everybody that did attend. And then we will have a follow-up meeting in February, on February 24th at the same location, First Lutheran Church for more specifics about phase 1.
Jared, could you give us some examples of the comments?
A lot of people pointing out where drainage issues are at, where they've experienced drainage issues. We had a few comments regarding people wanting parking on both sides of the street. That's something that we've kind of gone back and forth on, whether that's an amenity that people want or if it's something that people don't want to see changed. So just more for us to chew on, more for us to evaluate as we move into the design phase of the project.
Okay.
And then for the 2B project area near Roosevelt Elementary, we have a public input meeting tomorrow at Roosevelt Elementary from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We'll have a short presentation and then we'll follow that up with breakout groups to have one-on-one conversations with those who are in attendance. If anybody had attended meetings for this project previously, it'll have the same type of format. And once again, we're doing this active community engagement very early on in the project process. We haven't even created the district yet, and this is to really get a grasp on what the folks in the area would like to see this project to be. There's one thing that we know we want to do for sure, which is address the cast iron water mains while there's funding available, and so Public Works doesn't have to respond constantly to the breaking pipes in this area. But any questions on this one for me?
Any questions for Jarek?
Do you have a time on that, Jarek?
It is 6 to 8 p.m. at Roosevelt Elementary
Thank you.
tomorrow. Yep. That's what I have.
Thank you, Jarek.
Yep.
Now we'll move on to public comment. Mr. Neubauer, any submissions? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Schoberg. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Schoberg,
Yes.
Heinchan,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Rohr,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. Approval of the minutes from the January 6, 2026 Board of City Commission meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Schoberg. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioners Heinchan,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. Item number 2, consider approval of the January 13th, 2026 Board of City Commission special meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rohr, second by Commissioner Brown. Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioners Braun,
Yes.
Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Heinchan,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. We'll now move on to public hearing. Consider variance for lots 1 and 2, Block 1, North Prairie School, Second Subdivision. Jordan.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This evening we have Dave online with Interstate Engineering to provide us this public hearing.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Freilich and Commissioners. My name is Dave Bios, and I'm a planner with Interstate Engineering. Filling in for Rachel this evening. And we do have variance request before you. Purpose was to consider an accessory structure variance at 5405 Highland Road North. The applicant requests consideration of a variance to section 105-1-3, part 4 of the City Code of Ordinances related to incidental uses, accessory structures. The proposed structure would be larger than allowed based on code. Code regarding accessory structures in R7, that's the zone here, reads size for R3.2, R4, R7, RH, and RMH districts. Total square footage of all accessory buildings may not exceed 10% of the lot area, and the maximum size of any accessory building shall be no greater than 75% the size of the primary structure on the lot. The proposed structure is larger than 75% of the size of the primary structure, as it is proposed to be 60 feet by 120 feet, a total of 7,200 square feet. In addition, this accessory structure will add an additional structure to lots 1 and 2. The zoning for this property is R7 residential with agriculture to the east, and other lots surrounding it are also R7. The requested storage building size is beyond what is allowed by code in R7. However, the lot is a large rural lot with much distance between neighboring properties, including a large tree row to the south. The owner intends to use the additional building to store items which are now stored outside. The use would not be allowable on its own on a lot, so the owner will need to sell lots 1 and 2 together should that come to pass. Recommendation, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval for this variance at their meeting on December 22nd. And the suggested motion is to approve the variance for lots 1 and 2, Block 1, North Prairie Second Subdivision for an accessory structure.
And Mayor and Commissioners, just to add to what Dave said, this lot in particular, he talks about between lots 1 and 2 as 2 separate lots, but as one property altogether is 6.5 acres. So,
Okay, any other questions for Dave or Jordan?
Jordan, is that property pretty much surrounded by mature shelter builds?
Mayor Freilich, Commissioner Schoberg, yes, it is. They're in the in the land use plan. You can kind of see it here, but there's a tree row, and he plans to be right kind of down in it, and to store other things. There's other accessory structures on the property now that one of them would come down actually, and then this would take that place and, as he says, clean up the yard. So,
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we will open the public hearing for comments. First call for comments. Second call for comments. Third and final call for comments. With that, the public hearing is closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I'll move to approve the variance for lots 1 and 2, Block 1, North Prairie Second Subdivision for an accessory structure.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schoberg, second by Commissioner Rohr. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioners Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Heinchan,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. We have no bids, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items you would like removed? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve consent items 1 through 9.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rohr, second by Commissioner Schoberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Neubauer.
Commissioners Schoberg,
Yes.
Heinchan,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Rohr,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. There is no old business. We'll move on to new business. Update on activities of the Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC. Brenda?
Great. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you very much for allowing me once again to come and entertain you with all of the activities that we have going on at the Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC. As you are aware, Mayor Freilich does sit on our board, and actually he attends all of our meetings, and we appreciate that, and we need his input and his insight. He also attends as many other meetings as he possibly can, as does other members of city staff, depending on what their availability is. In fact, Madison was at an economic development meeting earlier this morning at 7:30, so We appreciate that. My intent today is to give you an overview of what we've been up to. Some of these things you may or may not have heard of before, but I don't think it's a bad idea to repeat some of that. But I do think it's important that you're aware of all the things that we do for the city of Mandan. Lots of things happening, and there's a lot of things on this particular slide. In the year of 2025, it doesn't seem like that terribly long ago, but it's passed. But we did create a new strategic plan where we had input from board members and many of our members of the Chamber EDC in Mandan and in Bismarck, and we were appreciative of that. We did create this new strategic plan that focuses on the 4 quadrants, all surrounding the Bismarck-Mandan community. Those are the people that we serve. Economic development, public policy, community engagement and marketing, and leadership development are all the pillars or the quadrants that we are going to be focused on in 26 through 2030. In that economic development quadrant, we've got a lot of different things, but I just narrowed it down to Job Shadow Week, project development, and the Mandan Business Pitch Challenge. What do all of those mean? Job Shadow Week is important to all of us. It's important for Mandan businesses to allow students to come into their place of business, to get a look under the covers and see what sorts of jobs are available and identify whether or not they might want to do that job. It gives those students at both sides of the river. So we'll have Bismarck Public School kids coming over to Mandan and vice versa. Whatever they're interested in is where they're able to go in, and we set that up for them. We pick times with the employers that have signed up to entertain the students. We've had an incredible amount of employers on both sides of the river raise their hand and say, please send students our direction and allow us to share with them what's going on. Oftentimes we hear from students that will say, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. I don't want to be an engineer based on what I saw. That's okay, because we want them to see that and experience those things first before they pick a major at college and then decide after they've spent a year in college that isn't what they want to do. The idea behind Job Shadow Week is, again, to give them experience and exposure to as many opportunities as we can. The other piece, and probably the more important piece of that, is these young people need to see what's available to them in the name of employment in Mandan and Bismarck. We want those students to, whether they go away to get a college degree or do something in the trades, we want them to know that we have plenty of jobs and plenty of opportunity here in our community, and that really exposes them to that. Project development is a little vague. That one is sometimes vague just simply because if I am in conversation with somebody who is interested in doing a project in the Mandan, Morton County, Bismarck, Burleigh County area, they will reach out and say that they are interested. I can't speak about it until they say we want to do it in Mandan, and then I'll reach out to the appropriate people in the community here. Likely the mayor and Mr. Neubauer to get some help from that perspective. But I will tell you, we do have some projects that people are interested in industrial, in different kinds of businesses coming to this particular area, and the moment I can tell you what they are about, I will certainly be in touch. The Mandan Business Pitch Challenge, a huge shout out to the city of Mandan for being the people who led the charge on this for the last several years, because now Bismarck wants to be like Mandan. And so in the, pardon me?
Always.
Always, yes, Mayor, thank you. But in all seriousness, the Mandan Business Pitch Challenge has been incredibly, it's been a great program for the last several years. It's been a model that has been stood up, and we've now pitched it to the city of Bismarck. They will be putting aside funds as well to mirror the program in Bismarck. It will not be a competition. They are going to set aside the same amount of money that the city of Mandan does, so it's not like somebody's going to get more money if they open a business in Bismarck versus Mandan. We will hold the event at different times, so there won't be a competition in between those funds that are available in Mandan versus Bismarck. We'll be pulling together a group of people from Mandan and from Bismarck very shortly here to talk about what is the timing on that. When should we do the pitch in Mandan and when should we do it in Bismarck? When do we want to start announcing it for the next round? But it's an incredible opportunity for us to really support that entrepreneurial ecosystem, and certainly it helps in economic development. And so moving on to leadership development in the name of students, again, we have student leadership. So we take applications from students in Mandan Public Schools, Bismarck Public Schools, as well as the private schools, and they participate in a leadership program where we take them to different businesses in Mandan. In fact, just this last month, we were at Icon Architect, and they had the students looking around over there at Icon and learning about what does it take to be an architect. Again, different formats that we want to make sure that we engage with our young people in the community to help them understand what that might feel like to be in that position, and the fact that we have those types of jobs here in Mandan. Leadership Bismarck Mandan is a program that's been around for well over 30 years. There are people in this room that have gone through the program. There are people who have run for public office after being in the program. It really is a civic engagement program, and it is intended to encourage people to get engaged in their community, whether it's on a planning and zoning commission, on a parking authority, whatever commissions, or hopefully running for a city commission or a county commission, park board, school board. Those are all important positions that we need good business-minded people to run for those positions, and Leadership Bismarck Mandan helps us to get them ready for that. And leads us right into that next item on there, preparing our community's leaders of tomorrow. Really focusing on who can we reach out to within our committee meetings as we meet with different people throughout the months at the Chamber EDC. We do find people who would have a real good, I think, a head on their shoulders, so to say, to be a particular run for an office, and we do talk to them about that. We make connections with already sitting commissioners, different people at the city and the county and so forth, to help them understand what it would be like to run for office. And that rolls right into public policy. And so we've sat on both committees on both sides of the river in Mandan and Bismarck. And so gratefully, land code has been in the process of being changed. Candidate preparation, as well as activating our military affairs committee. That one's a really important one. We've not had a military affairs committee officially at the Chamber EDC for quite some time. Because we had to take a break from what we were doing, because it ended up being just a group of people who were really kind of planning the brats for the brave. That is an important event, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of other important things that we can do to celebrate our military. We have a lot of military in the Bismarck-Mandan area through the National Guard. When they retire, they're not retiring necessarily from working. They have amazing skills, and we know that we should be tapping into some of that retired military personnel to encourage them to retire right here in the Mandan Bismarck community, and we want to make sure that we're tapping into those opportunities. And so activating the Military Affairs Committee will allow us better access to that. I happen to serve on the state of North Dakota's task force for military, and so I have a bit of access to a few more people than in Bismarck Mandan, and I want to take some of that effort and bring it down to our local community. And then finally, community engagement and marketing. We've got a lot of events. As mentioned earlier, we do have the State of the Cities, which is a fabulous event for us to showcase the city of Mandan, city of Bismarck, by talking to our mayors, hearing straight from them what they've got going on for 2026, what great things happened in 2025, as well as hearing from an economist at the national level, and he'll boil that down for us and tell us what that means for a local Bismarck-Mandan perspective. Lots of other activities that we encourage. businesses to get engaged in and involved in, so that we can all collaborate and connect when it's appropriate. The Welcome Initiative was certainly something that was taking place in 2025. It didn't go away. We continue to do that by utilizing some of our Make Your Mark website resources. And I'll show you in just a bit a video that we have invested actually quite heavily in some marketing materials. And some might say, well, you know, why does it cost so much to make a video? We want them to be really well put together videos that allow us and our business community to use them to showcase why should someone live in Mandan. And we've got some really great stories to tell about people who have chosen to come to Mandan, start a business here, live here, and be a lifelong citizen. And that leads into our workforce recruitment toolkit. So economic impacts, the top 3 contributors to growth, if you look out there at what contributes to growth in a community like Mandan, like Bismarck, healthcare seems to be first on the list. We don't have any major hospitals in the city of Mandan, but you do have healthcare here, and they are certainly a contributor to your economic impact. Retail is certainly very important. That ranges anywhere from your restaurants to your stores. And you've got some really great growth in retail, and you've maintained some of that. And manufacturing. And so manufacturing is something that the Chamber EDC is exploring an industrial park location to expand growth of the manufacturing sector. We know that there's room in Mandan, in Morton County, as well as Bismarck and Burleigh County, so that when someone calls, we've got ground that is shovel-ready that we can put in the appropriate location. And we'll work real closely with the mayor and Mr. Neubauer and city staff when that time comes. Workforce impacts, Make Your Mark, bisman.com is a website that we send people if they're looking to move their business or want to move to Bismarck, Mandan. Through some very focused marketing efforts, we had close to almost 9,000 individuals that we reached. Now we have their email address and we have some information that we can continue to communicate with them. There's 25 plus pages of resources for those new to the community to check things out on that makeyourmarkbisman.com. And so we want those resources to be available. It does us no good at the Chamber EDC if we just keep them to ourselves. We want people to be aware of them and utilize them for their business and for people they might be bringing here. And then the community testimonial videos featured 4 families. They're a recruitment resource for all businesses in the community. Again, we've got businesses that have just started to use them. If they're talking to somebody from Rapid City, South Dakota, all the way to Newark, New Jersey, to Los Angeles, California, and someone inevitably is going to say, what would it be like to live in Bismarck, Mandan? I don't know anything about the community. The job sounds great, but what is it like to live in Mandan? And so we have these very well put together resources that kind of give them a glimpse of what that looks like. We did do some focused marketing with those videos outside of the state of North Dakota in some really focused communities that are similar to ours. And we reached almost 1 million out-of-state impressions by that. Now, what that means is people looked at the videos, they're interested, they're definitely interested. And now the next step is, how do we want to take those particular areas and break them down even further and continue to get those videos out there on YouTube channels, on all of the different streaming TV platforms and those sorts of things. It's a significant investment on our part, but one that we feel very strongly that it's necessary, because we've got great people in Bismarck and Mandan, but we've got to bring more people to the community, and so that's a way to do that. And so I want to wrap up by showing you a few things. We've got the, as I talked about, the Mandan Business Pitch Challenge. It took place just this past fall. First place was awarded to Pronto Chore, Soda Drop, and the Learning Loft in second and third place. And so we had an amazing competition. They did great presentations, and that is ready to, we're ready to lather, rinse, and repeat, and do that again in another year. And so I am going to go ahead and play this video for you just so that you have a sense of what that might look like. The code is there to makeyourmark.com. And anyone that wants to, anyone that's listening to this, if you're a business in the Mandan area and you think you want to tap into some of these resources, you can get a hold of Emily at the Chamber EDC, and she'd be happy to share those resources with you. So let's hope that this technology works great for us.
What draws someone to live in a certain place? Maybe it's the clean air, endless skies, and the lack of rush hour traffic? Or the comfort of having everything your family needs close by. Here, nature surrounds you, community welcomes you, and opportunity is everywhere. Whether you're building a career or making memories, it's a place where life feels just right. Bismarck Mandan. Make your mark in a community you'll never forget.
So some of the other videos are very specific to a couple of businesses in Mandan, and then we have some that are very specific. It kind of drills down into actual business videos. This is the overarching video. So imagine this playing outside of the state of North Dakota. It would make me want to move here if I didn't live here, because it's very well put together. And again, we had to invest in that, but it was worth it, we feel, in order to do some heavy recruitment to bring new people to the community of Mandan, to the community of Bismarck, to help fill some of those workforce gaps and help us with economic development. I'd entertain any questions.
Any questions for Brenda?
Mayor Brenda, in looking at your 5-year plan, I'm sure a lot of these are carryover or continuing projects, issues, and then some probably are modified. Are there some of them that you mentioned here that might be totally new?
Yeah, so we didn't have as heavy of a focus on industrial park development in the past as we do on this particular item under economic development. We're very serious about that one. Not that we weren't serious before, but we do need to do something and move the needle quite heavily on that. Getting a little bit more aggressive, I think, on helping to find candidates, the next people to sit at this table, someday when you might want to actually retire and not work so hard. And so we are spending a fair amount of time on that. That's a couple of them that have quite a bit more energy behind them.
But you mentioned the Military Affairs Committee, too.
And the Military Affairs Committee.
Revitalizing that one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Rohr.
Any other questions? Yeah, the industrial park it has to happen.
It absolutely
For Mandan
has.
to go forward, we have to have an industrial park.
Correct. And, we'll gather a group of the right people together. We've got to have people from the power industry. We've got to make sure that we've got all our bases covered and get a committee together and start looking around.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for coming across the river.
Anytime.
Yeah. All right. Shift gears heavily. Consider a rewrite of stormwater design manual and ordinance update.
Mayor and Commissioners, this effort was initially started in 2019, where Houston Engineering had provided the city 2 memorandums related to stormwater management program. The effort never quite got past the finish line, and a little over a year ago, this board reinitiated this effort to formally adopt a new stormwater ordinance and a new stormwater design manual. The currently adopted manuals are 18 years old and 13 years old. So Houston has been working a lot with city staff to incorporate evolving best practices. They've incorporated a lot of standardization, simplification, and they've also structured it in a way that people who are familiar with Bismarck's process will be familiar with ours right from the get-go. But we have experts here from Houston Engineering that can give a short synopsis on some of the changes that were made and some of the thought process that we had. So I'll turn it over to them right now.
Thank you, Jarek.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Nick Cullen, Houston Engineering, here to provide you an executive summary update on the ordinance and the Stormwater Design Standards Manual. It's not going to be as fun as Brenda's presentation, but I'm hoping that we can keep you awake a little bit.
Try, Nick.
I'm going to try. I'm first going to start off with Michael Gunsch. He's the project manager on the ordinance updates, and he'll go through those, and then I will update you with the Stormwater Design Standards Manual.
Thank you, Nick. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Michael Gunsch, Houston Engineering. This process started a long time ago. I was project manager back when we were doing some of the analyses for the city in the various stormwater areas. Came up with two specific memos, one related to the stormwater ordinance and the second related to the Design Standards Manual. Really want to compliment staff and the ability to work with them to bring these to fruition. First of all, on the stormwater ordinance, which is I helped write and put together, it's to amend and reenact Section 107. I think the important part about it was when we took a look at what was in place, that was aged obviously, it's best to reenact and basically start over and put all the pieces together and bring it to current standards. So what I have here is just kind of an outline. We added definitions and updated agencies and references. Obviously, health departments, now DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality. State Water Commissions, now the Department of Water Resources. So all those elements were taken into account. And then the references. We cross-referenced this very carefully with the Stormwater Design Standards Manual as we were developing these concurrently so that the definitions and the connections between the two were consistent. Oftentimes you find you have one statement in one statement in another, causes confusion. Obviously, Mandan is an MS4 community, so the ordinance is designed around program compliance with that from DEQ and make sure that the city's in compliance. We focused on the clarifications relative to jurisdictional authority. In other words, who was responsible for what pieces. The city engineer has this piece, planning has this piece, et cetera. So those are important. Also looked very closely at simplifying process and enforcement. Nick mentioned we kind of coordinated and looked at the city of Bismarck's and said, how does that work? How does this work? We believe we've come up with a system that's actually more efficient than what Bismarck has from the developer standpoint, move things through. So that's important. Certification reports. When you get a project and it's all done, obviously somebody's got to sign off on it and the city's going to look at it. So we took a look at it. It has to be by competent individuals. The enforcement officer for the overall ordinance and plan was the city engineer. Again, that's the key component. The city reports to DEQ on a regular basis on MS4 and what they have done on an annual basis. So the city engineer is that enforcement officer. Compliance and fee schedule. You have a copy of the fee schedule in your packet. Basically, the city's looking at standpoint, the developers do something, they submit the fee, covers the cost of what staff is. It's not a full cover of staff, but it's a reasonable dollar amount to go through that process. Then there's a committee, appeals committee process for those enforcement decisions, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Illicit discharges, basically you're talking oil, some other type of chemical scenarios. That is listed in the ordinance. There's also several other areas in the city's ordinance that address that, but this is really specific to stormwater. The updates on the stormwater management plans, obviously the ordinance has to address what's contained within the manual. But all it is it's a reference to the manual. The manual itself, as Nick will point out, is really a document that's dynamic. The city engineer has the ability to change that and modify it based on current design standards, but the ordinance is fixed, and the ordinance is before you today. Again, we proposed a fee schedule that you have in front of you that kind of additionally covers the costs, plus compliance. You have to have a fee structure if you're going to do enforcement that really gets people thinking, hey, if I don't do this, it's going to cost me this much, so that I need to do that. And the program coordinator in this case, again, by the ordinance, is the city engineer. There's enforcement issues outlined in the ordinance relative to legal action, relative to penalties, relative to recovering the cost for damages. Say the bunch of material is dumped on the city streets, city has to go clean that up. What are those costs? And there's a recovery process for that. Fees, again, are in your agenda documentation. Permit suspension and certificate of occupancy. There needs to be teeth in the ordinance. And if the city engineer makes a decision and says, hey, this is the way this is going to happen, you now have to repair this, you now have to fix it. Like I said earlier, there's an appeals process. There's 3 members on the appeals committee under the definition that are not the city engineer, public works director, city manager, and I forget the third one. I shouldn't, but I remember what it is. But they are separate from the city engineer. So if a developer has an issue, he can bring that to that appeals committee and say, hey, this is unfair. It needs to be revisited. Also, on that appeals committee, if they want to go beyond the appeals committee, they can come directly to the city commission. So that's a procedure and process that's out there. So realistically, we focused really hard on streamlining the review process to make sure that from beginning to end, people know where they're going, as well as staff knowing what their authorities and controls are. Some new provisions that are in the ordinance. Missouri River setback. What's set right now, this matches Morton County, where there's a 75-foot setback when you have a protected bank and a 100-foot setback where you do not have a protected bank. In a number of instances, there are easements along the river within the city of Bismarck or the city of Mandan that do not have this provision. So this provision is now in the ordinance and would be applied. Riverine setback. We have a lot of discussions with various communities relative to the floodway. And people think that they can build immediately up to the floodway. Well, that creates all kinds of issues because floodways change, analyses change. So what we did is we created a riverine setback to keep those new structures in a safer location. Non-compliance fees, which we talked about a little earlier, and then redevelopment. There are places downtown Mandan where all of a sudden we're going to take out a whole bunch of buildings and we're going to redo it. But there are stormwater issues that are either already there or ones that might be created by that transition. So we very carefully looked at how that scoping sheet would come to the city. The city would know about those issues, what those changes are, in order to say, hey, wait a minute, we need to address this a little bit further. So that's kind of the context of the ordinance. You have it in your packet. There's a lot there, but it's a lot cleaner and a lot more efficient than the previous version. And we're very comfortable, and again, compliment city staff and working with them to get to that point. At this point, I'll hand it back to Nick relative to the ordinance, or to the manual.
Thanks, Mike. All right, so why the update? So as Michael stated, you have experienced significant growth and you are designated as an MS4 community. So really this necessitates the revision to the 2011 manual to update for your modern challenges and current regulatory requirements with the federal and state governments. So working with city staff, our primary goals were to provide that nearly uniform requirements between the city of Mandan and its ETA and the city of Bismarck for stormwater permits to reduce the confusion and create consistency between the two communities. We need to ensure compliance with Mandan's MS4 general permit with the DEQ and Municipal Code 107. We also need to reduce permit application resubmittals and decrease project delays. Having a straight line path forward is beneficial with our goals. Clarify submittal requirements and review timelines for engineers and developers. Protect public safety and property protection within or with proposed civil penalties, and updates the 2011 manual based on new master plans and city growth. So when is a permit required? There are 3 instances where a permit will have to be requested. The first one is an impervious surface. So if you have an development or redevelopment of creating more than 3,000 square feet or cumulative impervious surface, for example, if you have a 2,000 square foot area that's requested one year and then the next year you're asking for another 2,000 square feet on the same property, that would then push you into being required to have a stormwater management plan submitted. If you have land disturbance greater than 1 acre or part of a larger common plan of development. And the last one is if you have any land disturbing activity involving greater than 400 cubic yards. From a workflow...
Question?
Yes, sir.
Could you define impervious surface?
Hard packed gravel, asphalt, concrete, roofs, anything where the stormwater is not allowed to infiltrate into the ground.
So any place there's runoff, then the kind of surface that provides surface runoff without going into the ground?
Correct, yes.
I wasn't quite sure what that was.
Yes, understood.
Thank you.
You're welcome. From a submittal and review workflow standpoint, for when you have your design engineers and your developers coming into the city of Mandan, this is the workflow that you would go through. So step one is your mandatory scoping sheet. This is where the city defines site-specific requirements to the design engineer before design begins. We don't want to get the design engineer 70, 80% into the design process, submit the permit to the city, and then have the city say, hey, hold up, this isn't going to work, and then have to go through that whole redesign process all over again. We want to make sure that the design engineer communicates with the city up front, says, hey, this is what we want to do from a very high level perspective, and then the city can inform the design engineer of any existing stormwater master plans for the watershed. They could also say we have certain drainage issues within this area that we need to work around, so that it allows the city to communicate that with the design engineer up front. After the design engineer completes their design and their application and checklist, they have to submit that within 30 days prior to construction or with their plat and site plan. After the city has reviewed that application, they have 21 working days to then receive that conditional approval or provide that conditional approval to the applicant with various conditions established by the city engineer. Maybe there's something minor that the city engineer wants to have them add to their stormwater management plan or make them not completely do an amendment. He can dictate various conditions for that approval process. And then lastly is the post-construction certification, where the design engineer or architect or competent person can provide the certification report confirming that all of the BMPs, the design has been installed as designed. We don't want the design to be completely off base from what was approved. There might be issues with that if the storm sewers were not installed appropriately or per design. We could have impacts to neighboring properties or to city property that could be adversely impacted. So there are 4 pillars to the Stormwater Design Standards Manual. The first one is the peak discharge compliance. Really, the core requirement is to make sure that the post-construction runoff rates must not exceed the existing condition runoff rates for the 2, 5, 10, and 100-year 24-hour rainfall events. Or they must also may follow the existing stormwater master plan criteria that's been adopted by the city of Mandan already. So the first focus is the 2, 5, 10, 100, but if there is an existing stormwater master plan, you can follow that. And that is provided to you during the scoping process with the city engineering staff. The next pillar is the water quality compliance. This is where you have first your new development. You must utilize the prescriptive BMPs, such as the detention basins, the infiltration, flow-through devices, as detailed in the Stormwater Design Standards Manual. This ensures that you have standardized pollution control. However, like Michael was speaking to earlier, when you have these redevelopments or retrofits, you have to still find a way to treat the runoff that may not work with these prescriptive BMPs. So the DEQ requires you to treat the first ½ inches of runoff from impervious areas. From a street drainage performance standpoint, the manual has these various new requirements. So for the 5-year event, this is the nuisance flows. All streets must not have any curb overtopping. We don't want the water to get up onto the sidewalks or into the right-of-way. We want to make sure that that water maintains within the curb boundary. On collector roads, you want to leave 12 feet of clear encroachment. And then on arterial roads, you want to have no more than 7.5 feet of encroachment into the arterial roadways. We want to make sure that traffic can still get up and down these arterial and collector roadways without impacting traffic. However, on the 100-year events, these are the major flow events, runoff must be fully contained within the public right-of-way. This is where it does get to go outside of the curb boundary, get up onto the sidewalks, but not go onto private property unless there's existing easements put into place with that initial design. However, with the depth of flow at the crown of the road, you would have a max of 6 inches at the crown for local streets and 3 inches at the high point for arterials.
Also, high-level infrastructure minimum standards just for storm sewers. We want to make sure that all the storm sewers installed in the city of Mandan are designed for at least a 5-year event. We want to make sure that there's very minimal water on the roadways. We want to convey that all subsurface. And we also want to make sure that there's a minimum cleansing velocity of 3 feet per second. We want to make sure that that sediment that's stuck in the storm sewers gets cleaned out. We don't want that piling up and then reducing the capacity of those storm sewer pipes. So the design engineer will be able to calculate that to make sure that it's at least 3 feet per second. With culverts, collectors, and arterials, we want to have no roadway overtopping whatsoever. We don't want that perpendicular flow overtopping those roads and creating a traffic hazard. And then for open flow channels, we want to resist erosive forces for the 100-year event. There are various different engineering options that you can do to reduce those erosive forces. And we also want to provide 1 year or 1 foot of freeboard to those excavated channels. So when we have those larger flow events, that channel is filled 90% of the way up. We have that 1 foot of extra freeboard to make sure that it doesn't spill over onto private properties. And then the last pillar with the Stormwater Design Standards Manual is the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. This is where we want to make sure that all the erosion controls are put into place, where we stabilize exposed soils within 14 days of an activity. We don't want to have sites that remain open for months on end, having large wind erosion, nuisances. We want to have perimeter controls set up with silt fence. We want to have inlet protection, tracking pads, and making sure that that sediment does not get onto city roads and within city storm sewers. And then it also requires the developer and their contractors to do inspections of these BMPs every 14 days and within 24 hours of any quarter-inch rainfall event. So this makes sure that the contractor and developer are required to maintain their stuff to prevent any sediment from getting onto city roads or city storm sewers. So for any applicants that are watching this, and so the city commission is aware, the biggest thing is just to start early. Provide that mandatory scoping sheet to the city engineering department. Do not start your design before you have an approved stormwater scoping sheet, so the city engineer and the developer are on the same page up front. And then address your peak flow, your water quality, your conveyance, and your erosion control. And then lastly, certify that what you planned and designed was built as proposed, or provide the city engineer an update as to what changed from the approved plan and how that may or may not have impacted neighboring properties or created adverse conditions. You are also required to provide an operation and maintenance manual and easements for all permanent BMPs to make sure that those 4 pillars exist long-term. We want to make sure that the city staff, if needed, can go in and maintain these BMPs if the landowner is choosing not to maintain them in order to protect city infrastructure and neighboring properties. And that is all I have for you this evening. Michael and I are open to any questions.
Any questions
Mayor
for
Nick, does this apply to the 2-mile territorial limit?
Mayor, Commissioners, Commissioner Rohr, yes, it does. It does include the ETA, and it does involve coordination with the Burleigh County, or sorry, excuse me, Morton County's engineer.
They'll be under the auspices of this particular plan then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Dick? I would just like to compliment our engineering staff and you fellows putting together an outstanding program. It's not a short read, a little over 120 pages, but it's concise and it's very well laid out, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Mike. Commissioners, what would you like to do?
I move to adopt the new stormwater design manual as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schoberg, a second by Commissioner Rohr. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioners Heinchan,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. We will now move on to resolutions and ordinances. Introduction and first consideration of ordinance number 1481 relating to on-call pay. Amy?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I am here tonight to introduce the first introduction and reading of Ordinance 1481, which would have been Section 20-6-10 under compensation in the city ordinance to include a provision related to call pay. So some background around this, we do have several city departments that rely on employees being available outside of normal working hours, which are generally evenings and weekends. Currently, employees who meet the requirements for premium pay do receive additional compensation when they're called into work, but there is no compensation for the time they are required to remain on call for those that are in rotations. So this ordinance would address situations where employees are called or assigned to an on-call rotation that requires them to remain available and able to respond within a reasonable time frame during the assigned period. So this version would not be required, but staff does believe that is appropriate to recognize the added responsibility that is put on those individuals in those rotations where they're required to be available within a reasonable amount of time. So approving this ordinance would give city staff the authority to offer a flat daily on-call stipend to allow administration to establish consistent procedures across departments. Within these provisions, non-exempt employees scheduled for on-call duty would receive that flat daily stipend. Employees would be expected to respond within a reasonable amount of time. We do have here outlined approximately 30 minutes to respond. And then, of course, they would be required to remain fit for duty and comply with all city drug and alcohol policies that are required of them. For planning purposes, staff is evaluating a rate equivalent to about $3 per hour of non-worked hours. So that would equate to approximately $48 per day. And we are evaluating weekend considerations too, as they have more time off on the weekends. This, based on the anticipated usage, would be a $20,000 budget allocation per participating department. Initially, the departments that we are looking at completing this for would be those that already have a rotation set up. So that would be the streets, the utilities, the water treatment plant, and the wastewater treatment plant. So if approved, administration will finalize procedures and implement the program in 2026. The total estimated annual fiscal impact is $80,000 and would require a budget amendment with this approval. Funding sources for each department have been coordinated with finance and are also displayed in your agenda packets. So with that, staff recommends approval of the introduction and first consideration of Ordinance 1481, along with the associated budget amendment as presented. And I will stand for any questions.
Mayor Amy, when would this take effect then?
Yes, so if approved, it would take effect as long as our policy would be approved and in place after the second reading.
After second, okay. Thank you.
Amy, is this comparable to other municipalities?
Yes, so actually the city of Bismarck just implemented something very similar to begin in 2026. So it was valuable to be able to connect with them so we didn't have to recreate the wheel, and they're doing something very similar to this approach. I did just check in with them. It's only been a few weeks of 2026, but as of last week, staff are happy and it's able to be administered appropriately.
And this is a common practice in private business, correct?
Yes, to some extent, they have a little bit of flexibility as, like I said, it's not required if it's under the definition that the Department of Labor calls waiting to be engaged. Then there's more flexibility there when they have the ability to take part in what they want to do after hours versus being available at a minute's notice. So there's more flexibility there, but many private sector employees offer some type of compensation for on-call pay.
Amy, I want to thank you for bringing this up. I think it's a definite advantage for employee retention. My wife was on call all of her working career in the medical field. People need to understand that this just isn't an overnight thing. It could be the entire Christmas Eve, Christmas Day holiday. So the little bit that you have recommended for our employees definitely goes a long way in assuaging some of the familial responsibilities during those holidays as well. So it's very nice of you to make this recommendation. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions for Amy? If not, thank you, Amy. Commissioners?
I'll move to approve the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1481 along with the associated budget amendment as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schoberg, second by Commissioner Rohr. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioners Braun,
Yes.
Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Heinchan,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. We'll move on to item number 2, introduction and first consideration of ordinance number 1483, stormwater rewrite. Jarek.
Mayor and Commissioners, yes, this is the ordinance rewrite associated with the previous item. A lot of the same information, or this is the information that Mr. Gunch went over, and we're recommending approval of the first consideration, but I can try and answer any other questions if you have any.
Any questions?
I move to approve the first consideration of ordinance 1483 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rohr, second by Commissioner Schoberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioners Rohr,
Yes.
Schoberg,
Yes.
Heinchan,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich.
Yes. Is there any other business tonight? If not, the future meeting dates for the Board of City Commissioners are as follows. Tuesday, February 3rd at 5:30 p.m., Tuesday, February 17th at 5 o'clock, Tuesday, March 3rd at 5:30. And with that, be kind to yourself, be kind to your neighbor, and it's onward and upward, Mandan. Meeting adjourned.